My name is Minister Otis Cole, and I have been changed. I grew up in a Christian-based setting, if you will. Both of my mother and father were in love with the Lord. When I was in the 6th and 7th grade, none of my peers was going to church. We were the only ones, my brothers and sisters, we were the only ones in that whole neighborhood or in that whole community sort of setting, so to speak, that were going to church on a regular basis. I can remember my mother, and she was kind of telling me, I really need you to finish school. I need you to, graduate from school and so forth, because she knew that I was really beginning to turn a little bit. I wasn't that obedient son that I used to be. I started hanging around with the wrong guys out there and just began to get into all kinds of trouble. I'm in and out of jail, 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 and this just becomes a terrible cycle. So it wasn't long after that with these, many bouts of going in and coming out, 8 months here, 9 months here in jail here, as the time go by, I eventually wind up with 2 strikes on me, and now I'm sitting in San Quentin. And now I'm beginning to get letters from home from my mother. She's beginning to write me. She's saying, son, these people ain't playing with you. They gonna lock you up for life. So I took all of this stuff to heart, what she was saying, and I began to go into the Word of God. I began to actually study the Word of God like never before. I began to open up the book and read the Word of God, and the Word of God began to come alive in me. It began to evict me. It began to, change my perceptive and my thought. I was also having some problems with with my cellmate at that particular time. And so we was really about to go to blows one night and do bodily harm to one another. And the guard called out chow time. And so I just said to myself, I'm gonna hurry on over to the chow hall, I'm gonna eat, and I did, and then I came back to my cell. And I was in the cell, I was walking around in the cell waiting for him to come back, because I know this thing was gonna escalate again. And while I was walking around there, I was talking to God. I was saying, you know what? I said, if you need to help me with this, because I can't take this anymore. This guy is coming back to the cell, and I look down the hall and I see him coming. He's on his way. And I look down the hall a second time, and he's getting even closer to coming into the cell. Now this guy had a habit of walking to the cell, but he would walk to the cell backwards and step into the cell backwards. He just did it all the time. That was just his MO. And so I'd already figured out what I was gonna do, because I wasn't gonna go anymore with this here guy. This was the last round that I was gonna go with him. We were gonna finish this tonight. So I had already had the intent of pushing this guy over the 4th tier. When he made that turn to back in the cell backwards, I had already made up in my mind that I was gonna push him over the cell, because I wasn't gonna be locked up with this guy in the cell and he harm me or kill me in the cell. So I just figured I'm gonna make this move first myself. But just before this guy got to the cell, the guard called out down at the end. He says, Jenkins, he says, roll up your stuff. You're leaving tonight. I mean, if you can imagine what I felt that night. God intervened that night. Just when this guy was about to come back to the cell, just when I was about to push this guy over the 4th tier rail, God intervened. God is faithful. He's absolutely faithful. He's never left me one time, even though I've walked away from him on so many occasions. He's never walked away from me one time. That was the night that changed everything about me that night. I teach a class now called the Malachi Dads in San Quentin. Now I've been doing that now, for the last 3 years now. And so God has miraculously turned my life around. He sent me back into the prison to begin to minister to these different men and begin to show these men how they can learn to love him, how they can seek him, how they can find out about him. And so that's that's one of the things that he's done, and I appreciate that, because it's something I want to do.